Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Neville Goddard teaches that the circumstances and conditions of our lives are simply our inner talking out pictured, solidified sound. He says that inner speech calls events into existence. In every event is the creative sound that is its life and being. All that a person believes, all that a person consents to as true, reveals itself in his inner speech. It is his word, his life. In the coin of heaven, every stage of man's progress is made by the conscious exercise of his imagination, matching his inner speech to his fulfilled desire. Persistent assumption of the wish fulfilled is the means of fulfilling the intention. As we control our inner talking, as we match what we say to ourselves, our inner talking, as we match it to what we want, to our fulfilled desires, we don't have to worry about how it's going to happen. We can lay aside all processes and strategies. We imagine the wish fulfilled and carry on mental conversations from that premise. Man's perceptions are not bounded by organs of perception. He perceives more than sense can discover. We've been so programmed to look at what's going on around us and believe that that is real, that is truth, that is reality, that's all there is. But however much you are living in a material world, you are actually living in a world of imagination. Neville Goddard, in his book, The Power of Awareness, talks about acceptance. He explains that the outer physical events of our lives are the fruit of forgotten blossom times, results of previous and usually forgotten states of consciousness. They are the ends running true to oftentimes forgotten imaginative origins. Whenever you become completely absorbed in an emotional state, you are at that moment assuming the feeling of the state fulfilled. Neville Goddard says, if persisted in, whatsoever you are intensely emotional about, you will experience in your world. I'm going to say that again. However much you seem to be living in a material world, you are actually living in a world of imagination. The outer physical events of life are the fruits of forgotten blossom times, the result of previous and usually forgotten states of consciousness. In Neville Goddard's Power of Awareness, whenever you become completely absorbed in an emotional state, you are at that moment assuming the feeling of the state fulfilled. Wayne Dyer used to say, the wish fulfilled. If persisted in, whatsoever you are intensely emotional about, you will experience in your world. These periods of absorption, of concentrated attention, are the beginnings of the things you harvest. It is in such moments that you are exercising your creative power. Bob Proctor used to talk about our imagination. Your imagination is able to do all that you ask in proportion to the degree of your attention. All progress, all fulfillment of desire depend upon the control and concentration of your attention. So you can either focus your attention on everything that's going on around you in this world, all the violence, all the craziness. You can look at the economy and say, well, that's reality. Or you can describe, what do you really want? You can spend some time sitting quietly and imagine what your world would be like if you were grateful, recognizing how truly blessed you are, grateful for where you are now in life and for what's coming. You can either let the outside world control you, or you can practice becoming what you really want, deciding what would it be like to be happy, healthy, financially wealthy, abundantly blessed in every area of life. And focus on one area, focusing your attention on what state of being would you be in were you happy and healthy, financially blessed, realizing that what you put out is what you attract. Neville Goddard says attention is attracted from without when you are consciously occupied with the external impressions of the immediate present. Your attention is directed from within when you deliberately choose what you will be preoccupied with mentally. He says it is obvious that in the objective world, your attention is not only attracted by, but is constantly directed to external impressions. But your control in the subjective state is almost non-existent, for in this state, attention is usually the servant and not the master, the passenger and not the navigator of your world. There is an enormous difference between attention directed objectively and attention directed subjectively. And the capacity to change your future depends on directing your attention to what you desire. When you are able to control the movements of your attention in the subjective world, you can modify or alter your life however you please. But this control cannot be achieved if you allow your attention to be attracted constantly from without. Each day, set yourself the task of deliberately withdrawing your attention from the objective world and focusing it subjectively. In other words, concentrate on those thoughts or moods which you deliberately determine. What is it that you truly desire? Let's take a moment to visualize that. Maybe it's a material thing. Maybe your deep desire is to live in a beautiful, comfortable, safe home, knowing that you're protected, knowing that you are safe. Sandy Gallagher says visioneering is where you truly begin to create your world through the effective use of your imagination. You create and hold the image of what you want. Your imagination is where everything starts. What is it that you truly want to be living? How happy, how healthy, how much could you do for others if you didn't have to worry about debt? You knew that you were financially sound, that everything you required comes to you at the right time as you require it. Just think about when you go on a trip, you buy your ticket, you reserve the hotel, you pack your bags. But if you're going in November, you don't get ready to leave in February. You just know that there is a period of time of waiting. You can focus on what it's like to be on that trip, walking along the beach, feeling the cool ocean breeze, the hot sun as you're walking along the beach, your toes dip into the water. You can feel the movement of the sand and the water on your feet. Your imagination is so powerful, it can take you anywhere. Just allow your attention to be directed inwardly to what you desire. And that takes getting quiet, sitting still, turning off any distractions, closing your eyes, just allowing the feeling of being there to wash over you. How will you be feeling? You're relaxed. You're enjoying this time. You can get so deeply involved in a vision of what you really want that when you open your eyes, it can be a shock that it's not here yet. But so often we use our imagination against us rather than being on a beautiful vacation and worrying about what's going on at work. You can be at work and worrying about what's going on at home. Worry is a waste of time. It is putting your energy into what you don't want. Worry is like praying for what you don't want. We want to concentrate our thoughts and our feelings on what we deliberately want to create in our lives. This takes practice. Neville Goddard says, those things that now restrict you will fade and drop away the day you achieve control of the movements of your attention in your subjective world, in your imagination, in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You are the master of your fate. You will no longer accept the dominance of outside conditions or circumstances. You will not accept life on the basis of the world without. He says, having achieved control of the movements of your attention and having discovered the mystery hid from the ages, that Christ in you is your imagination, you will assert the primacy of imagination and put all things in subjection to it. Your subconscious mind is subjective. It follows the programming of what you've been taught to believe. In your time of visualizing, the principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. The day you fully realize the power of assumption, you discover that it works in complete conformity with this principle of least action. Least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the state you desire, Neville Goddard tells us to use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. Your journey from one state of consciousness to another is a psychological one. So to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action, and the psychological equivalent is mere assumption. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It works by means of attention minus effort. No more forcing, no more trying to figure out how it's possible. With least action through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen in front of you, maybe you like to journal or write a gratitude list. Because creation is finished, what you desire already exists. Neville Goddard tells us it is excluded from view because you can see only the contents of your own consciousness. It is the function of an assumption to call back the excluded view and restore full vision. It is not the world, but your assumptions that change. An assumption brings the invisible into sight, and every event in the visible world is the result of an assumption or an idea in the unseen world. In order to bring your beautiful vision into reality, you want to focus your attention, spend time in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and write out what it is that you desire. As you sat quietly and brought to your mind's eye a vision of the life that you truly desire, whether it's a loving relationship, vital health, you're strong and healthy, fit, you can easily work and walk and play. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Write it down as if it's already here now. Write it down as a destination, a targeted goal. You know what you want. You believe in having it. You'll be happy. Take the time to write it down. I am so happy and grateful now that, as you're writing what you want, put it in the present tense. It's here, it's done, it's now. I am so happy and grateful now that. What is it that you desire? You could have a measurable goal like 10 times your income. What would that do? What would that do for you, for your health, for your family? How would you be spending that extra money? If you didn't have to worry about debt, if you had money flowing into your bank account, how would you be using it? How would you be investing it? How would you be helping your family, your community, people less fortunate than you? You wouldn't be dreaming of a bag of money. You would just be happily using it to create the life that you desire and making sure that others were taken care of. How much more could you do for your church, your charity, the world, if you didn't have to worry about money? Money is energy, and it goes where it's invited and stays where it's welcomed. What energy would you be feeling if you were financially free? You were taking that trip of a lifetime. You're already in a loving relationship. How would you be acting? Whatever your goal is, give thanks for it already being here, because whatever you see in your mind, whatever you hold in your heart, whatever you focus your energy on is growing in your experience. You might start out with writing pages of everything that your heart desires, what you prefer, what you would be doing, where you would be traveling, how wonderful life is now that that is your experience. The physical three-dimensional world that we live in is the last step. Everything starts in your mind. So use your beautiful imagination to create what you desire. Write it out and practice getting into the feeling as if you're already there. Whatever seed of a desire that you have, planted in your heart, planted in your subconscious mind, and then let go of the how. Neville Goddard tells us the present moment is all important, for it is only in the present moment that our assumptions can be controlled. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Get into the vibrational energy of what that would be like. The future must become the present in your mind if you would wisely operate the law of assumption. The future becomes the present when you imagine that you already are what you will be when your assumption is fulfilled. Be still, that's least action, and know that you are that which you desire to be. In the chapter, The Effortless Way, Neville Goddard tells us the end of longing should be being. Translate your dream into being. Perpetual construction of future states without the consciousness of already being them, that is, if you picture your desire without actually assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, that's just the fallacy and mirage of mankind. It is simply futile daydreaming. Energy goes where your attention flows. Use your beautiful God-given imagination, one of your higher mental faculties, to get into the state of being that which you want, that which you desire. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy, everything changes, everything vibrates, everything is moving. When you get into the vibration, the energetic frequency of being in the state that you know you will be in once your goal has been accomplished, it's simply a matter of allowing it, letting it in, becoming a match on, for whatever you want. Take a deep breath in and let that go. Take another deep breath in. Imagine you are already the person who has the goal that you desire. Your wish has been fulfilled. Carry the state of being with you throughout the day. Practice writing out what it is you desire, getting yourself relaxed and into the picture. You're living the goal already attained. You're at the destination. How does it feel now that you're there? Give thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am that I am. Thank you for being here in this morning mindfulness practice. Create a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday morning at 7. Thank you.